of a very complex situation in the first instance. So, like you said, could it be a fight to the finish? I've spoken with a few lecturers, and if feelers from them is anything to go by, they are ready to wait and stay at home for the next 3 years for this issue to be resolved in their favor. So it means that all of this is not solving any problem. The government, to me, shouldn't have gone to the court in the first instance, knowing fully well that there are issues. We know that there is this agreement of 2009. We are aware that this agreement has been reviewed on several occasions, to the point that even ASUU is telling us that there are agreements signed even up to 2021. You know, we talk about 2009 agreement. They said, okay, this is not practical. Let's review it. They keep on holding meetings and all of that. But you have not done anything. You have not executed any of the agreements reached with the union. So the government cannot expect that we go through the back door and get a court order, and that court order will automatically bring an end to ASUU strike or the problem. So for me, it's prolonging the matter, and I don't know. And you know courts now. ASUU has told us that it's going to appeal. Now, the appeal court can issue a judgment. ASUU can still appeal it up to the Supreme Court. So all of this, we are just wasting time. And are we thinking of the students at all?
All right, Adewale, how complicated is this situation? Knowing the students have been home for 7 months, and going to court would definitely complicate this issue more.
Well, I think we deliberately, made the issue very complex. These issues will have been resolved, a long time ago. Now they have been on strike for about 216 days. Since 1999, we have had accumulated strike of about 1,297 days. That is almost 4 years. So the most important industry in Nigeria has been shut down, which is education. And it's quite unfortunate. And we must not forget that this affects millions of people. And the majority of them, millions of students, majority of them are for poor homes. So I think the government should have resolved this issue without going to court. The government had to wait until the battle was taken to the streets by the students. The government had to wait until decisions, actions were taken that affected directly the ruling class. Many of them could not pass through the airport, and then what is going on in Abuja. So they are looking at the implication on the political stability of the country. And I think that is why for the first time, they now feel, okay, let us go to court to see a way we can resolve it. But we must not forget that you cannot decree peace and stability by going to court. If you ask them to go and resume, it's like you are compelling them, to go and resume. And teaching is not something you can compel people to do. It has to be born out of passion. One of the most contentious issues is that whether they should be paid for the months they have been on strike. A lot of us don't realize that. You see, the job that lecturers do, is a strategic work. Teaching, education is not just about teaching. In fact, when they give you letter of appointment as a lecturer, it involves teaching, it involves research, it also involves community service. Teaching is just about 10% of what lecturers are supposed to do. So while the strike is going on, they are doing research. We are watching the crisis between Ukraine and Russia and taking notes to teach your students. It's part of research. A lecturer in botany that goes to the bush to do research on plants is doing even while the strike is going on. Our community service, many of them are still involved in community service as we speak today. And the salary they are supposed to be paid is also meant for accommodation, health, and other things. And when they resume, they will still cover these hours. What they usually do is that they will give them extra hours, extending the lectures to 8 p.m., 9 p.m. They will still cover those things that they have lost. So I don't think it is right for us to just think that we are going to court, court gives orders, then that is the end of the... we are rather deepening the crisis. Instead of us to sit down and look at all the issues and then sit down together and resolve these problems, we are just trying to postpone and complicate the problem.
All right, even the National Association of Nigerian Students have called these judgments black market judgments. It means they are on the side of their lecturers.
They are, and they didn't even miss words. They actually told government to accede to the lecturers' demands and, meet up with the agreements, the various agreements signed with the lecturers. I think the students are on the side of their lecturers, and I don't know where Nigerians are standing right now. I also think that Nigerians should be on the side of the lecturers at this time because
so many people are saying they are certainly losing sympathy.
Well, that is what surprises me, really. When I hear that strike. Let's ask ourselves, all the developments that have taken place in Nigerian universities have been the result of strikes embarked upon by these lecturers. The TED Fund we are celebrating today is a product of strike. All the major, the education tax fund is a product of lecturers' agitation. Why must a government always wait for lecturers to go and agitate before they develop the educational institutions? I think that is the question that Nigerians should be asking, instead of saying that strike is fast losing its relevance. A lot of people don't know what is happening in all these public universities. If you go, I really feel for those who are there. I tell you the truth. Do you know, we see the pictures on social medias. You see lecture theaters where you can find up to 300 students at the same time. How do you want those people to learn? And these people that are talking, they don't send their own children to this type of schools. They send their children to schools where they access the best of standard of education. If it is good, and if lecturers are just making noise, why are our leaders not sending their own children to Nigerian higher institutions? That is the question that the masses should be asking. Because for me, these lecturers are fighting for Nigerians. That is the truth. They may not even be fighting for me. I won't send my child to a public university, for example. I'm not going to do that for my child because that would be wicked on my part. So they are not fighting for the rich. They are fighting for the poor masses. And the earlier the people understand that, the better it's going to be for all of us. Though the lecturers also have their own problems, but I don't want to talk about that now.
All right, so the state governors do not seem to have a stand on this issue between the federal government and ASUU. Well,
I think some of the state governors, have read them, their positions, but there's no uniformity of, among the 36 state governors. But you see, I think what we should be very careful not to kill public universities, because we are talking about an institution that employs, if our senior lecturers alone, about almost 30,000, with some 7,000 professors. So we must realize that if we kill public institutions, it's going to deny a lot of people from poor homes to have access to education. Unfortunately, most of these policy makers attended public schools. So we must be very careful to ensure that we don't run the system that will make it very difficult for ordinary people from poor homes, in spite of all their talents and their potentials,
all right.
To have access to.
Mokhtar from Kano. Hello, Mokhtar.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Well, good.
Yes, my contribution to this program is that, to be sincere, the government is insincere about the issue of ASUU, because we the masses voted this government into power with the hope that it will do good for the masses. Unfortunately, it is the reverse. We sincerely support ASUU because ASUU is fighting for the masses. But the whole problem of this meeting, court order, whatever it is the leader, it is the president that doesn't want this problem to end. Simple as that.
All right.
If the president wishes to, he can direct today that this, he can just, admit that ASUU is right and let them go back to classes.
All right.
But he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. So.
Thank you very much for your contribution. All right, Madam Olabisi, is this a blackmail on ASUU?
Well, can it work? maybe government thinks it can. I also think that government is also probably confused. Sincerely speaking, I think they don't really know what to do, and they just feel that, okay, if an attempt to, settle the matter with ASUU is not working out, let's just use the court's excuse. Maybe that will work. But I'm sure also that even whoever, the Minister of Labour himself should know that it's not likely to work. Maybe they also want to be seen as doing something. And you can see that the minister is probably talking from both sides of the mouth. He has also said that government did not take ASUU to court, and also that the fact that the case is in court does not mean that negotiation with ASUU cannot continue. So, which means that they are neither here nor there. They are just looking, maybe buying time. Maybe.
All right. Thank you very much. Now let's quickly move on to the next story. That Benue State, north-central Nigeria, is sliding from being a food basket to the den of hunger due to insecurity is pathetic. Governor Samuel Ortom has appealed to the United Nations to pay attention to the humanitarian crisis in the state and to the north-central, as done in the northeast. Speaking in Makurdi during the signing of the Benue State's Peace Building and Reconciliation Commission bill into law, the governor lamented that the state is passing through a serious humanitarian crisis with over 2 million in...
I think I personally would like to commend the governor for withstanding this wild wind, for almost 8 years now. It's been from one crisis to the other. But in spite of all these problems, how the state manages to survive is strange. You need a leader that is determined, that is, selfless, to be able to lead this kind of a situation. We are talking about 2 million people in IDPs. What is the population of Benue State? 5.7 million people. So it's almost about 40% of the population of Benue State that are in IDPs. After this, we have about 80,500 children in IDPs. And Benue State used to be the hub when you are talking about vegetables, fruits, yam, sweet potatoes. So the impact on food security, not just on Benue State alone, on Nigeria is immense. So maybe I'm not monitoring the development, but I've not come across a situation where the federal government has shown enough commitment in terms of providing funds, special intervention funds, to deal with the crisis that the people of Benue State are facing. We should not live under the illusion that our problem is for people of Benue State alone. It's our problem. Because if there is instability in Benue, then, on the long run, it's going to affect us. I've seen a lot of people, in Lagos, in Ekiti, in Kwara, who, had to leave Benue State to search for greener pasture in other areas, therefore putting pressure on the population of these other frontier states. So I think the federal government should see this as a major problem when you have about 40% of population of a state, in IDPs. And there's problem of epidemic, problem of, most of these children can no longer go to school. These farmers are in IDPs, they can't go to their farms. So I think we should come to the aid of Benue State, not just the United Nations alone.
All right, but Governor Ortom is now calling on the United Nations because, as he put it, the federal government is not coming forth.
It's unfortunate. I think the governor is also talking about the need for the establishments of Benue
North Central
Development Commission, to just like it is done in the Northeast. Maybe probably because in the Northeast, a lot of people are dying, which is also very bad. We talk about insurgency and all of that. So the attention seems to be focused on the Northeast, which is not wrong on its own. But I think what the governor is just trying to say is that there are also problems in the Benue axis, and from what we can see. And it's also saying that even though the UN gives aid to the region, the aids will not be enough. to really solve the problem. We need special intervention funds, just like he said. And that can only be made possible through a special commission to take care of the problems within that region. But to me, I also wonder why we always go to these Oyibos to help us solve our problems. The problems they did not create in the first instance, but we still go to them. It is UN here, UN tomorrow. And you can see that the governor acknowledged all the aids from this United Nations, different organizations.
They are not enough.
But they are just not enough. Why can't we just start to think of how to solve our own problems? What, at least we can think, how do we solve the problems? How do we bring an end to issues that cause problems among us? Because food crisis is a major issue. I know that Benue is good when you talk about yam production and all of that. And if you go to the market now, you know how much a tuber of yam costs you. And despite the fact that we have new yam, it's not even reflecting again. You don't know the difference between old and new any longer. So the problem is not within the state alone. It's going to affect other parts of the country. And I think it's something that the federal government should also focus on.
All right, now, like you said, the Benue state is not isolated in this situation. Other states. Now, does the federal government seem overwhelmed in the situation?
Well, I don't think the federal government, because if the federal government is overwhelmed, what do they expect states and local governments to do? You know, overwhelming challenges will always come. And what you expect is government to come out, you know, with a kind of, you know, an intervention that is superior, that can be able to tackle the problem. I've not seen that happening. In fact, some of the time, even when the governor speaks, what you see that is, you know, the whole thing is politicized. You know, the presidency will issue a statement attacking him, condemning him, instead of creating the opportunity for a middle course, that this is our problem, even though we don't belong to the same party. You know, let us look for a common ground to resolve the problem. Because one major problem Benue State faces is about security. You know, and I think it goes down to the problem of the kind of garrison structure we run in Nigeria. If there has been state police, if the governor has control over the police commercial deployment of armed men and all that, it will have been able to resolve this problem. But it's at the mercy of an over centralized system that automatically breeds bureaucracy and corruption. So while looking at the problem we should also know that it mirrors our collective challenge, you know, in terms of over centralization of power and the need for Nigeria to decolonize the system so that people can have some level of control over their political and security affairs.
All right, Madam Olabi, so your last take on this.
Yeah, I agree totally with him, and I think that government should, the government at the center should show more concern to the plight of the people, because if these children are not going to school, it means that the future of a whole lot of generation is being destroyed. So it's not even about what is happening now, it's about the implication for the future. We are talking about food crisis now. There are even greater implications for the future of the children that are being raised in ID camps of your youth, which shouldn't be.
All right, let's quickly take Ade from London. Hello, Ade.
Hello. Well done. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very good.
One thing I want people to know is this. Nigeria is a great country. You know, my governor, those said it, that we are one country, two systems. And that's exactly the truth. You see, the present government, all they are doing is just enjoying themselves. They don't care about the students. They don't care about who eats food or don't eat food. They are laughing stock all over the world because television is global. So all these things going on now, they don't bother. People are trying by talking, is good, but there is no action. When this government leaves in May, the new government comes in, you will hear a lot of secrets coming out.
All right, thank you very much, Ade. Ms. Adwa, let me have your last take on that before I move on.
Well, we need to work harder, at the federal level and at the state level. we need to come to a consensus that things are wrong with the structure of Nigeria. We have to be very honest and dispassionate about it. And we need to come with a solution that can be able to address this problem once and for all. And that is to restructure the country.
All right, thank you very much for your insights so far. Now, moving ahead, though the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has released the list of candidates for presidential and National Assembly elections, the last is yet to be heard about the disputed Ebonyi South Senatorial District ticket of the All Progressives Congress. The factional APC candidate for the zone, Anne Agom Eze, has expressed confidence that the judiciary will do justice in the matter between her and Governor David Umahi, who made the final list of candidates released by INEC. The matter is at the appeal court for determination. Before we go into the discussion, let's quickly take a break. I'll be right back.
The federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, announces the availability of COVID-19 and childhood vaccines nationwide. With the disturbing increase in reported cases of COVID-19 infections across Nigeria, protect your loved ones from the harmful virus by getting vaccinated. Visit the nearest public or private health facility and mass vaccination sites today to receive the first, second, or booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines. COVID-19 vaccines are given to persons 18 years and above, including pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers, while childhood vaccines are given to children from birth to 5 years for protection against polio, hepatitis, yellow fever, measles, meningitis, and other vaccines-preventable diseases. All vaccines are free, safe, and effective. For inquiries, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng or call 0700-220-1122.
This message is from NPHCDA in partnership with the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Good afternoon, sir. Please, I need a room to rent in your house.
Okay, where do you work?
I'm a nurse.
That means you won't owe me rent. Congratulations, young lady. You have yourself a house.
Well, thank you so much, sir. So, how much is the rent?
90,000 do together.
Sir, what have I done?
Your people from Akamata are known for bad things. That is what they represent, and you can't live in my house. Just get out right away.
What's going on?
Leave my house, young lady. Yes, our differences extend to our languages, culture, food, and even belief. But we are bound together by the cord of love. With one heart, with one voice, we will make Nigeria a hub of greatness, a place where the people live as one.
This message is brought to you from the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the UK government.
Hello, it's nice to see you again. It's a good day at First Fountain Court. You know we love sharing our progress with you and taking you every step of the way. The last time we were here, electricals, POPs were ongoing, and today a whole new level has been unlocked, and we are very excited because we are currently painting our homes, tiling our homes, and if you look right there is the utility home, fresh water, clean water, and at the top of this is a gym house. We are really excited, and if you haven't subscribed to First Fountain Home, now is the time. Call the numbers on your screen or visit our website.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout, and I've been hanging out with Adewale Adeoye and Olabisi Deji Folutile. Before we went on a break, we were about to talk about the issues happening in Ebonyi South Senatorial District between the state governor, David Umahi, and Anne Agom Eze. Interesting development, you would call that. A lot of people would have expected that the court already recognized Agom Eze, who came second. Why call for a fresh election?
In fact, that is the problem. The same court that recognized Han Eze is still the same court that granted Umahi or the APC in the state the power to conduct a rerun within 14 days. So you see that it is still the same court that is granting all this order, and you now wonder which one will stand. Now, when Umahi Jr., who happened to be the placeholder,
Austin Umahi.
Yeah, Austin Umahi, for his elder brother, the governor, declined and said I was no longer interested. That was when the court ruled that Ann Eze, having come second in that election, should now be the candidate of the party in that election. Of course, at that time, Umahi just came and wanted to just take over from his from Austin, which is not done, and that was the basis why Ann Eze went to court. Now, after that ruling, you can see that even the ruling of the court was what Eze went to an appeal court to interpret, because the same court that said she should be recognized as the candidate is still the same court that is saying, well, there is room for a rerun and it can be done within 14 days. So it's like it's not a straightforward verdict, so to say. And that was why she went to court to seek an interpretation of that aspect of the law. And of course, during that time, the party organized a rerun, and the products or result of that rerun was the election of the governor, who claimed to have a very strong verdict, having scored 250 votes out of about 275. Do you get? So now, the issue is still with the courts. INEC has recognized Umahi because the same court, and interestingly, it's still the same court, the Federal High Court in Abakaliki, that is giving all these orders. It is still the same court that gave Umahi an ex parte motion that allowed him to organize a rerun and be recognized as the candidates of the party. So I think this is a test case for the courts, for the judiciary, because where does this woman stand now? She had a case because she was recognized as a winner by a court, but the other party also has a case because the same court also allowed for a rerun to be carried out, and that rerun was conducted and another candidate emerged from that rerun. So where do you place the two of them? So I think it is the appeal court that will still do the interpretation, but right now I don't know who the candidate of APC is in that state. All right, Adewale, in other reports, Austin Umahi was not identified as a placeholder, because if he was a placeholder, it was okay for him to have, normally handed it over to the governor, David Umahi. But in this case, what exactly is happening here?
Well, I think, in my own view, if you look at the first primary, I think May 28, she scored, I think, 2 votes. 2 votes. As against 280 scored by Austin. And those 280 votes actually were for the governor in any way. So now, the court that gave her, that proclaimed her as the governor, as the candidate, the party knows that somebody that scored 2 votes in his party, the likelihood of winning the general election is slim. And that the likelihood of defeating a state governor going for senatorial election without the support of Umahi in that senatorial district will also be very difficult. So I think that's why I decided, okay, look, we've got to challenge, this process. And he went to court to get an injunction that INEC should declare him as the governor. For Ebonyi South, that district. What I see clearly in this case is that there is the absence of internal conflict resolution mechanism within the party. There is absence of quality leadership, And I also think it seems some people are in the same party, but they don't have shared aspiration. Because if you have leadership in the days of UPN, even MPN, you know, and those, they will have, some people in the party will have called them together and say, look, call all of them, all the stakeholders, let us resolve this thing. By going to court, they have made it complicated. Even if Buhari eventually wins, the likelihood of another third party challenging him that his election did not pass through due process is possible. So we may have a situation where APC may not actually have a similar candidate if they are not careful. So I think this idea of going to court, where people have to resort to court when they, but internal party matters, it's always better that people come together and resolve it without going to court, because it's always the best way. If the party is really well structured, you know, it will be better to sit down and resolve the problem. But I think I should commend the courage of this woman, you know, in a society dominated by men, for her to stand her feet, whether wrongly or rightly, you know, to have pushed her case up to this level. But we are waiting for the Court of Appeal to give us a final verdict on that. All
right, let's quickly take Ada from Jos. Hello, Ada.
Hello, journalist Hangout. It's Ada calling from Jos Plateau State.
Good evening and welcome.
Our court, that's the judiciary, if you ask me, they are just in a mess. They don't have any independence. That's why we're having all these kind of judgments. Look at the one of ASUU. The vacation judge gave an Oboge judgment. Oboge in Igbo parlance means a judgment that will just give the government time, you know, and they prolong the strike. Doesn't make sense. That was a reckless one. Then when it comes to the Benue crisis about insecurity, the general insecurity is leading to food insecurity, and the National Assembly is not helping matters. Until we see insecurity as a national problem, we will not get it right.
All right.
Thank you very much, Madam Buhari said that state police was...
Thank you very much for your contribution. Now, Madam Olabisi, there is now allegation of, okay, Adewale says it should be normal for Anne to say, okay, I scored 2 votes. Let me step down and, you know, join the process for us to win this election. And going by some reports coming out lately, Governor Umar is accusing her of demanding for 20 million naira before stepping down.
Anyway, I won't want to go without reports, because that could be a blackmail. Yeah. So I think this whole problem started with this issue of place ownership. You get? It starts from the point when an individual is focused on getting 2 things at the same time. The governor wanted to be a president, and he went to contest. He lost. He wanted to be president and a senator at the same time. I think we need to talk about that greed of our politicians. Why they want to always get the highest bite of everything. Because if you had wanted to be a senator, and he had remained, there wouldn't have been a problem. We know that is the governor is probably more popular than all of that, and there wouldn't have been a problem. But the woman that scored 2 votes, honestly, it is within her rights. Whether she scored 1, she came second. And we cannot deny her of that. But it's obvious that even if she had participated in the rerun, like the other party members have said, she may not have even got anything that is substantial. But you see, what the governor did provided the room for this confusion in the first instance. Yes. And this electoral law that we have, I learned there is a section that says that you should not engage in 2 primaries in the same year, and that the punishment for that is 2 years imprisonment. When will our courts rule that whoever does that gets that punishment? Until we do that, we may not have sanity.
All right, let's quickly take Charles from Lagos. Hello, Charles.
Hello, good evening, journalist Hangout.
Good evening to you.
Okay, in terms of the Ebonyi State fact that I think it has come to a station whereby the is now we start bringing some morality to their judgment. There's no reason why this man wants to be the president and and how you want to go to the Senate as well. I don't think it's the Senate. I think the government wants to end up in the Senate. After 8 years, the next place will be Senate. She also consider the idea of even having just one legislative house. Because some of them are going there contributing nothing whatsoever. When you watch television, watch what's happening on the floor of those two chambers. Some of them are just there sleeping. Some are just there making calls.
All right, thank you very much, Charles. Thank you for your contribution. Mr. Adewale, we have seen the huge commotion this placeholder thing has caused in our politics. Now, consider the kind of politics we practice in Nigeria. Does this stand a chance?
Well, I think if we are looking at because every law that you make, you test run the law. And when you discover that a particular section is creating complications, the reasonable thing is to expunge that section. I think we need to do something about this, place holding thing. For me, I think it should be, there should be a law. We should amend the electoral act so that people cannot eat their cake and at the same time they want to have it.
All right, quickly, let's talk about the alleged high-handedness of state governors.
Yeah, in the past, the party is usually controlled by the stakeholders in the party, not necessarily the governor. You have the party chairman, who is, in fact, the governor, defers to the party chairman. But in this case, now you have a situation where a party has become a kind of stock exchange, whereby the shareholders that own about 90% of the shareholders are owned by big men. So in the past, my mother, for instance, used to contribute to UPN. They will give you a card, 5 naira, 2 naira. But in these days, somebody will just come and donate 100 million, 200 million. So when somebody, plays the paper, it takes this too. So the Nigerians must take ownership of the political process. They must take ownership of the political parties. In a situation where the party is controlled and manipulated by individuals, the people's voices will be trampled upon. They will not have the right to even assert themselves. That is exactly what is going on now.
All right, Madam Labs.
I think the governors are very powerful because they fund the parties. And, they use state funds. And because they control the funds, they also control the parties. So that is why they are high-handed and they take decisions on what should happen in the party. Even the scenario is painting is even fast dying because individuals no longer want to use their money to run political parties again. They want to use the state money to fund the parties so that they don't lose anything. And that is a very dangerous development, and that is the reason why you will always have the governors that are more powerful than the state, more powerful than the party, and more powerful than the people.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move to the final lap of our program today. It appears the warring factions in the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has reached a point of no return. The PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, insisted that he cannot force the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, to resign. Atiku appealed to the aggrieved camp of Governor Nyesom Wike to retrace their steps after they reiterated their demand for resignation of Ayu and pulled out of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. A lot of people would have expected that at this time, at this crucial time, these leaders should, have gotten over this.
Well, I think, you see, this is one of the most difficult problems for the PDP, because we have two parties that have taken extreme positions. And if you look at it, each one has its own merit. If you look at Wike, for instance, he came second, and not just a humiliating second. He came a honorable second. I think the difference was about 134. In fact, if Tambuwal had not drawn for Atiku, the likelihood that Wike would have won that election, was very high. And I think somebody coming from Rivers State to make that kind of historical statement embarrassed, the hegemony that we usually think that, if there is presidential election, they will use their vote, they will use their power. But this man came from Rivers, and I don't think that had ever happened for a very long time. So for that kind of effort, I think, why choosing your VP there should have been consultation. In fact, I would have expected Atiku to go and meet Wike. Okay, I don't want to pick you. Can you nominate a candidate for me? If I happen to be Atiku, that's all I would have done. But in this case, I think Wike is claiming that there was no consultation.
But the candidate has the final say in all of it.
Yeah, I know. But you see, politics is about consultation, is about so that you don't have this kind of problem you're having now. Wike is saying that he was not consulted, probably read it in newspapers, and as a major stakeholder that came second, there should have been discussion with him. And it's also, the other argument is that, look, the presidential candidate of PDP is from the north, the party chairman is from the north, the chairman of BOT, until recently, just resigned, is from the north. That is not fair. And he also said that Atiku came to him 10:30 a.m. on Monday after the primaries and told him that, look, ASUU is going. Give me your, tell me what you want. And he said, okay, once I assured him that ASUU will resign and someone else will replace him, then there will be peace. And I think I'm not impressed by the statements accredited to ASUU by mainstream media that he said when they formed the PDP, these people were children. I think that was contemptuous, because children, he was also a child at the time. And children would definitely grow up to be adults. And for somebody to be a governor of a state, you can't describe him as a nobody. And to even almost win that presidential election. And if you look at the South, of all the states there, Rivers has about 3.5 million votes, followed by Delta, then followed by Anambra. And of course, Wike in recent times has emerged as a formidable political force, in that. So it's somebody that can always push over. So I think both parties should look for a way to reconcile instead of allowing the.
All right. Now, this is not the first time Atiku will be saying, when it comes to ASUU's removal, it boils down to the party's constitution. If ASUU gets removed today, would it still favor the South?
I think from the constitution, there is a process by which ASUU can be removed. I think that is the point Atiku is making. But the simple solution to this is for ASUU himself to tender his resignation.
It does not look like he's ready to do that.
That is the simple solution. But it doesn't look like he's interested in doing that. For me, the opposition parties should be rejoicing over what is happening in PDP. And we shouldn't bother ourselves about it. Let half of them be fighting with themselves. Then the opposition should seize the opportunity to win them over. Because for me, if as a party you cannot even organize yourself, and you are now telling us that you want to come and organize Nigeria, how can we trust you? Your house is divided, you can't even settle it. Now you say you want to now organize a whole country. How do we trust you? How come that they cannot work together as a party? And the thing I get from all these politicians is that, look, let's face it, all of them are self-centered.
It is for their selfish
ends. It's all for their selfish ends. Right. And they are not going, they are not thinking about Nigeria, and they are not thinking about anybody. They are only thinking about themselves. Otherwise, the crisis in PDP shouldn't have come to this level, to the point that even once the Atiku respond, he didn't have to respond.
I think it was important that he responded.
No, he didn't have to respond because the issue was not directed at him. They only made a call that we are pulling out of this campaign, and that what he ought to have done was to have organized themselves. They should have done a peace reconciliatory meetings.
All right. We would definitely continue this conversation, but let's quickly take a break. I'll be right back.
For more than 20 years, Ebonyi, the Lagos Economic Summit, has contributed to the socio-economic and infrastructural development in Lagos State back to back. Some of the ideas from the previous Ebonyi are what we now point to as the attractions of Lagos to the world. Here is another opportunity to discuss the advancement agenda of Lagos. Ebonyi, the private sector-led participatory forum and incubating ground for the ideas that define Lagos, is holding from October 11th to 12th, 2022. Are you a business leader, a professional, an entrepreneur, an academic, a techie, or in any other category with Lagos on your mind? Register at www.eyigbettisummit.com to attend the summit holding at Eko Hotels and Suites or to join Eyigbetti 2022 Summit online. Come forward with your thoughts. Let's set an implementable agenda for a greater Lagos.
Hello, it's nice to see you again. It's a good day at First Fountain Court. You know we love sharing our progress with you and taking you every step of the way. The last time we were here, electricals, POPs were ongoing, and today a whole new level has been unlocked, and we are very excited because we are currently painting our homes, tidying our homes, and if you look right there is the utility home, fresh water, clean water, and at the top of this is a gym house. We are really excited, and if you haven't subscribed to First Fountain Home, now is the time. Call the numbers on your screen or visit our website.
Good afternoon, Oga. Now you be the landlord.
Yes, Nami.
Oga landlord, me go need one room for this your house, so.
Okay, sure you get work where you dey do.
Yes, I be nurse.
You know go dey owe me be that now.
Now how much be your rent, safe?
Not just 90,000 naira. Wait, this guy, where you come from, Sef?
Oga, I come from Akamata.
Akamata? No talk am again. My spirit and Akamata people no dey ever join.
Oga, wetin happen now?
Come over for my compound. Na so baba thing na people sabi do for that Akamata. Come over here.
Haba, Papa, wetin this innocent girl do you now? Now people like you, they spoil Nigeria, Papa.
I think you don't see am now. My people, they talk say jollof rice wey dey for bottom pot today go dey top of cooler tomorrow. As I take need you now, so you self need me. Because now one mama we get, we be Nigeria. Make we love ourselves. Because now only together we go fit make our country better for us and our children them. One heart plus one love equals better Nigeria. Now the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the UK government, they bring in this message.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Before we went on that break, we were talking about PDP's internal crisis at the national level. And like I asked Madam Olabisi, would it still favor the South if IU gets removed now?
Yes, definitely. We know these things about positions, they are not essentially about addressing fundamental policies that affect the masses. But in the context of interest of individuals in the political sector, of course, if they pick somebody from party chairman, maybe from any part of the South, I think it will go a long way to address the problem. And I think one thing that should also interest us is that IU is from Benue State. The leader of that party, PDP in Benue State, which is the governor of Benue State, is supporting Wike. So it means even in IU's own base, that support is not there. There is that, feeling that, look, allow step down. And I think people should see the party as bigger than individual ambition. And it's been there for some time. But like, she said, if they want the whole thing to go like this, it's going to, the APC will harvest from the contradictions in the PDP.
All right, so the newly appointed chairman of PDP Board of Justice, Adolphus Wabara, has begun crucial moves to save the party. At least, how far do you think it can go?
From the pronouncements of the Wike faction, you can see that there is nothing that Wabara is going to do that is likely to change their position, because that position of party chairmanship moving away from the north is very crucial. You see, when PDP announced that it structured its party chairmanship position to the north during their convention at that time, a lot of people were confused, because traditionally the party's presidential candidates and the party chairman, do not come from the same region. At that time, people ask a lot of questions that now that you have zoned this thing to the north, does it mean that you are going to pick a southerner as your presidential candidate?
Away from that as a nation?
Well, we should have, but that is their party's constitution. And the party has the right to its constitution.
And I don't think it's restricted to the PDP alone. I think it's also applicable to APC.
Well, so if that is what they agreed to, and that is the point that the Wike faction is making, that look, if we have all agreed that, I think they do that in order to give everybody a sense of belonging in the party. So I think that is the major thing. I don't know what Wabara is going to do that can make these Wike supporters to back down on their demand for the removal of ASUU. But I think also that the party should respect its constitution. All right,
Mr. Adewale, your final take on this?
Well, I think this problem in PDP will have been resolved, if not for rhetorics of arrogance, you know, from people who are saying, probably without Wike, they can go all along. They can do without him. And I think if you are in that position...
Can they not do without him?
Well, let us see whether they can do without 3.5 million votes in Rivers State. Let us see whether it's possible for them. And somebody of Wike's status, that we have seen what he has done in the past, you know, in terms of asserting himself as a force in that region. Let us see whether it's going to be easy for them.
All right, thank you very much.
That's the problem. You see, when you were asking about the power of the governors, should the governor decide what happens to 3.5 million people?
Thank you very much, Mr. Adewale, for coming on the program today. Thank you, Madam Olabisi, for your perspective on the program. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching. That's all on Journalist Hangouts today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. ShopX TV is excited to have reached 40,000 customers, and to celebrate this milestone, we are offering our customers 40% on select Copper Chef collections. What if you can replace your cookware with a collection of the finest pans, designed and made of the highest quality craftsmanship? And what if your entire cookware set is